Okay. So this is basically high level for any project architecture. So they define what technology they have to use, what is the main functionality they need to implement, how they're going to implement, and also like human dynamics, right? Like what is the team strength, how many people will be there in the team, and what is the IT environment, like what are the machines, like what is the technology they're going to use and all that. This is very high level. So normally, so in the testing part, we don't get involved into this architecture part, but just to get an idea, what is system software architecture, right? So just to get an idea. So if you look at architecture, these are some of the things involved. Basically, the business strategy, design part, so quality attributes, IT environment, human dynamics, like what is the strength of the team, what are the different roles in the project and all that stuff. Right? It's very high level, so we don't need to get like too much involved in it. This gives some introduction of what is involved in the architecture. There's a lot of text in it. Anyway, I will share this slide. You can go through this. It's basically some of the important things is selection of structural elements and their interfaces. Like sometimes the system will talk to other systems as well. So they will define all those interfaces and all that, right? So behavior as specified in collaborations among different elements, so architectural design. So we don't need to get into full details into this. There's like realizing use cases and scenarios, right? They probably define like high level use cases and all, how the system will be used, right? Try to address requirements of various stakeholders, right? Whoever is funding the project, so they need to fulfill their requirements and all that, having functionality and quality requirements, right? And improve quality and improve external confidence in either organization or the system. So very high level. So we just need to understand that there is something called software architecture for any project that you are working on, right? Then, so basically the main part we start is system environment, right? So we'll have like different environments when the project is developed. So one is development, then QA, UAT, and production. Right, so development is where you developers will do all the coding, programming, and build the system there, right? So they keep on updating this development environment, and so we will be testing on the QA environment, quality assurance, right? So this is where, so from development they're going to release software to QA, right? There can be release versions, right? So they package different functionality into releases and then release it to QA, right? So in the QA system, we're going to test the application and we identify what is working, what is not working. Then we're going to raise issues.
QA means quality analysis.
Yeah, quality assurance.
Okay. Quality
assurance. Testing, so software testing normally is say quality engineering. So this is quality assurance.
Sir, what is the difference between QA and QC?
QA is basically testing the application. QC is quality control, right? Quality control is generally used in industry terms, right? So if they are making some, say, product, right? Physical product. So sometimes they measure like, there will be some standards, like something like, what do you call, like they may be making like something like say oven, right? Microwave oven or something. So they have some like standards, like size, right? It's more kind of for physical products, quality control. So quality assurance is more for software products, right? So maybe in industries, right? Industries, there will be quality control.
Control, yes, yes.
Yeah. So they're at different stages. They have some kind of checkpoints. They have some kind of standards they need to meet, right? See, any product that is getting released on market, right? There is ISI standard and all that, right? For regular
Yes.
physical products, so that comes under quality control.
Yes.
Test whether it is meeting that standards or not. Right?
Means quality control, it's a financial word.
Yeah, products, physical products are some kind of standard set by some other party, right? So quality assurance is is the internal testing of the application. So mostly related to software. Quality assurance, right? Then UAT is user acceptance testing. So that is where the users are going to test the application, right? So they will test as per the user scenarios, and either they approve it or if there is an issue, so they will reject that build, right? Then prod is basically the production environment where actual real users will be start using that application. So that is a production environment, right? So these are the four different environments will be there in any like project. So here we are showing like one only, but sometimes in the QA you may have like 2-3 environments depending on the project size and all that, right? So there can be multiple environments for testing or even development. There will be different environments, but overall, this is how the system environments will be there, right? So if you take, so I'll take an example of a development environment. So this is where the developer will start writing the code for new requirements and all that. So that will be defined in the architecture, what kind of environment they need to use and all that. So something like these are the different environments: Microsoft Visual Studio, Eclipse. So somebody is using Windows and all, they will be using Visual Studio and related environments. So somebody is using Java and all, they go for Eclipse, NetBeans, Adobe Flex Builder. These are like environments where they're going to write code and they can save the changes. They're going to implement various requirements and all that, right? So similar to this, they will build another environment for QA, or another for UAT, and another for production. Yeah, based on that, right? So whenever QA people are testing, they're going to test on the QA environment, right? So today, small organizations, sometimes development and QA will be only one environment, but bigger organizations normally have this structure for 4 environments, right? So that is the environment. So let's look at software development life cycle. So this is basically how, so once the system is defined in the architecture level, so there will be software development life cycle, like how the product will be developed and what are the iterations it will go through, right? What are different stages it will go through is defined in this software development life cycle, right? So it's basically a structured sequence of stages in software engineering to develop intended software product, right? So they will have a sequence of stages that will go through to complete the development part. So this is the software development life cycle. So what is involved in this cycle is basically all these stages, right? These are the different stages that are involved. The first one is communication. Communication is talking to users, and talking to different stakeholders, right? They call it as stakeholders. Like somebody is funding this project, some people are using it, right? Some people are going to design it. So they're going to talk to each other and gather the requirements and all that. So that's the communication part. Then requirements gathering, like what this product or project supposed to do, right? They'll gather all the requirements. Then feasibility study. Feasibility study in the sense like, is it feasible to implement this system, right? So they have all the requirements. They will try to see whether all the requirements can be implemented as per the technology, available technology, or as per the available human resources and things like that. So they will do a feasibility study and come up with a system. Right? Then system analysis. Then this breaks down into what software, what technology are you going to use, how different modules will be implemented and all that. That will be part of architecture part, system analysis and all. Then software design, right? They're going to like break the system into different modules, like small components, and each component they're going to design it. So what are the things? So design in the sense like what is the screens will be part of that module, what is the data you're going to store, right? If they are going to use some database and all, what are the like different database tables they're going to use, how to store the data, how to retrieve the data and all that stuff will be there in the software design. Then the coding part, this is where the developers will write the code. Then testing, right? So once coding is done, it will go to testing. Then integration. So integration in the sense, so sometimes this project may be communicating with other projects, right? Or this project is big, there may be 4 or 5 modules in the project. We need to integrate those modules and test it. So that will be part of integration, right? Then implementation, like implementation is where it will go into production part. Then operations and maintenance. So this is so when it's running in production, they're going to make it. There will be some maintenance required or operations required, support staff and all. So that is the next stage. The last part is disposition, right? If it is outdated, the project is outdated, they're going to shut it off, right? So these are the various phases it will go through from beginning to the end. So
Sir, communication and requirement gathering, these are similar? These both are?
See, communication is a very beginning stage, right? So by that time, there won't be any requirements, but they will be talking about this product, what we need to do in this product, or it can be some market research also. Like
who will involve in this stage, sir?
This is basically for project managers and architects and maybe the people who are funding the project, right?
Requirement gathering is nothing but business analyst will gather the requirement and he will give that to project manager, right, sir?
Yeah, business analyst will talk to actual users who are going to use the system. So he's going to talk to users and various people, because business analyst will not know everything, right? So we need to talk to actual users and he will collect all the requirements from the actual users, how they're going to use the system, right? How they have like current system, right? Maybe they are upgrading to new technology and all. There is a old system, existing system. So they're going to talk to actual users and gather how they're using the current system and what things they need improvement, right? So what is not working in the current system, what is working in the current system and all that, right? So that it will be business analyst and some project managers will also be there in that requirement gathering.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like very high level. By the time it comes to testing, probably everything is done and they already done software design, system analysis, so they are doing some coding as well, right? So when they have like software design and system analysis, then they're going to build the team, development team, testing team, support team, and all that, right? Before that, it's mostly on like project managers and business analysts and things like that. So after testing and integration, then there will be production team and support team. They will be involved in that part, right? So I have like detailed slides on what each of these stages is there. Maybe this text is too small for you guys, so you can review this later. So communication is, this is the first step where user initiates a request for a desired software product, right? So this is where like the users say like, I need this kind of product with these kind of features, right? So this is where the users say like, I want these kind of features, so and so, and all, like I need system should be working like this, right? So basically contract service provider tries to negotiate terms. So this is where like, see, if you are working in a consulting company, they sometimes sign contracts with clients, right? So this is where they define what are the features of the product, right? So we submit request to service providing organization in writing. So there will be some kind of document or contract they sign. So what are the things they need to develop for this product, right? So once that is signed, then there is a requirement gathering process, right? So this is the step for a software development team to work to carry on the project, right? So they need requirements to start working on the project. So basically, team holds discussions with various stakeholders, right? Stakeholders in the sense it can be users, or it can be somebody who initially wanted a particular product, right? And gather the requirements, right? So these requirements are contemplated and segregated into, it can be user requirements, that is like actual business requirements, and system requirements, like, so there can be some security related requirements or performance related requirements and all that, and functional requirements. So the different types of requirements will be gathered in this phase. So these are like different steps to gather requirements. Studying the existing or absolute system. Suppose there is already an existing system, they're going to study that system and find out what is working in that system and what are the improvements they need, right? Like what are the new features they need, what they want to upgrade, like what they want to discard and all that, right? And conducting interviews of users and developers, right? They're going to talk to users, they will have workshops and all that. Then come up with requirements. So referring to the database, like people doesn't know everything in the system, so they're going to look at the old system database. Okay. And all that, then collecting answers from questionnaires. Like sometimes users may not know what they want, so there will be some surveys and questionnaires they will prepare and give it to the user so that they will answer questions according to that surveys. So based on that, they will collect requirements. So these are various stages of collecting requirements and all. Like if somebody is into like business analyst or business analysis, they're probably involved in this part, like requirement gathering. Then this is the feasibility study, right? So once they gather all the requirements, so feasibility is like whether we can make software according to those requirements, whether everything is, whatever requirements, can we fulfill all the requirements, or is there any problems or there will be some limitations on the software side, right? Sometimes you may not be able to implement all the requirements, right? So they will so analyze that feasibility, and they will see that if they can, so this project can be technical, and they have to keep the cost also in mind, right? So they don't have unlimited funds, so they have, with the limited funds, they need to implement, and also based on the available technology, right? So that is the feasibility study. Then they go into system analysis, right? System analysis basically, developers decide a roadmap of their plan and try to bring up the best software model suitable for the project, right? So they're going to analyze different technologies available, and like if there are any similar products, they will analyze, and they will build a best software model for this project. So they're going to understand what are the limitations, learning system related problems and changes to be done to the existing systems, right? Identifying and understanding the impact of project on an organization, right? So if they are making a new project, so sometimes it may need some changes to the organization also, like there will be new training required for existing people and things like that. So those things will be planned under system analysis, right? That is system analysis. Then software design. So this is where the actual design of the requirements will be done. So here it will come with logical design and physical design, right? So they're going to produce metadata, logical diagrams, flow diagrams. You guys heard about flow diagrams and all, like if you have some idea about programming, so there is a sequence of steps in the flow diagrams and things like that. So they do that design part. Then the coding part. Coding is basically the programming phase, and so they will take each of these logical diagrams, designs, they will start implementing using the coding part, right? Then the testing, right? This is where we will be there. And so basically here, you see the estimate 50% of the whole software development process should be tested, right? Testing doesn't start after coding part. So we may be involved in like a requirement phase also sometimes to develop test cases based on the requirements. And so whatever testing product that is developed, it is assumed like 50% of the whole system has to be tested, right? So that means like in a project, you may have like 40% resources involved in testing, right? If there is 100 people in the project, around 30 to 40 people will be involved in testing part, right? So that is that much important. So errors.
In-house testing? What is in-house testing?
What is that?
In-house testing.
In-house testing means like, see, if you are in the project, one project, there will be some developers and testers, right? So whatever testing is done within the project is called in-house testing, right?
Okay.
So there will be third-party testing, right? Third-party testing is somebody who is not involved in the project, right? They're not directly in the project. So once the project is developed, they're going to give it to some other vendor to test.
Testing.
Yeah, that is third-party testing. Sometimes they may outsource the testing part to some other vendor to test it and test and certify, right? So it can be like software teams, or it can be like sometimes
Other teams.
so we have these standards, like some kind of ISO standards or CMM standards, right, for a project. So to certify, to get certification, you'll give it to some other vendors for that, right? So sometimes it can be like some companies are experts in testing. So So sometimes these development companies, they will hire testing companies and give them for testing. So it depends on how complex is the testing part, what are the things they need to do in the testing and all that, right? So different levels of testing is there. So some of the testing activities like module testing, program testing, product testing, in-house testing, and testing the product at user end, right? So user end is the last part, right? So what is the key is early discovery of errors, and their remedy is key to reliable software. So we want to find errors at early stages, like maybe so we can find some issues in the requirements itself, right? We can find some issues in the design part, right? Then we can find issues when do the coding part and all that. So any bug, any error found early stage is less costly, is less expensive for the project, right? So anything that is found in the later stages, somewhere around like user testing or in production, is costlier issues. Right? The cost will go up at later stages, right? Then integration, like integrating all the libraries, databases, and other programs. So that is the integration part. Then implementation. So implementation is basically implementing the software on user machines, right? So we need to install, there will be some post-installation configurations at user end, right? There will be some settings and the configurations we need to do in the user side. So that is the implementation part. Is it clear? Then the last one is operation and maintenance. This is basically, so you're going to, once you implement, you're going to see that there are less errors, and there will be some updates as well, right? That will be part of the operations and maintenance phase, right? Once development is completely done, it will go into maintenance phase. So in the maintenance phase, we just need to make sure it is working as per the requirements, and any new issues found in the user side will be fixed, right? Like not much development will be there, just running and making sure it is running without any errors, right? That is the maintenance phase, right? So sometimes you may go into full development project or maintenance project, right? Maintenance project, the work will be less, but but whatever you test is very critical, right? Then disposition is the last part. So if it is if that system is getting outdated or performance is going down, so they will decide to take that project off, right? So this is the last part, right? So this is the software life cycle. These are various stages in that life cycle. Right. So in this development life cycle, so these steps are followed differently in different methodologies. Like, so all those things will be there, like all these steps, but there's different models how the software will be developed. These are like engineering models and all. But mostly nowadays, people are using Agile model, but you can aware of these models, how it is implemented, right? All these development phases, how they are implemented. The waterfall model is basically the implementation will be done in a linear manner, like one after the other, right? So once the first phase is done, second phase will start, right? So there is no connection between first and second phase. So if you look at the picture, it will be something like this, right? This is called waterfall. So they collect requirements, then go to design, they go to development, testing, deployment, maintenance. So this is like waterfall model. Like only after requirements are completed, they'll go to design, right? Once design is done, they'll go to development. So this is a like very old model. I think nowadays people are not using this model. So there is some drawbacks and all that. This model. Then iterative model. Iterative model is it's a cyclic manner, right? So you start with one step, go to next step, go to next step, then you come back to the first step, like that.
So what are the drawback of waterfall model?
Waterfall model is, see, if there is any issue, there is something missing in the requirements, so there is no way to go back and fix it, right? So all these systems will have a problem. Like, so if there is some problem in the requirements, they miss some requirements, then the design is incorrect, development is incorrect, right? Testing also will be incorrect and all. And if you have to fix again, you have to repeat these steps, right? So if some problem is found, like say in testing, that they miss some requirements and all, they have to stop this activity, then they have to go to requirements again back. And all this activity will be stopped. The waterfall model, right?
Okay, sir. Thanks.
What is that?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah. So if you go to iterative model, this is iterative model. So there is like number of iterations defined for the project. Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, right? So like each stage will be repeated here in this model. Like basically like, so in the project, they'll create like different phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, like that. So each phase, they're going to implement all these steps, right? Once phase 1 is done, they go to phase 2, then phase 2 is done, phase 3, like that. Iterative model, because sometimes you may not get all the requirements in the beginning. So some systems use this iterative model. And spiral model, so this is another concept, right? So same as iterative model. It's a combination of both iterative and one of the STLC models. So these are basically like so development models. So it keep on repeating, right? So this 1, 2, 3, 4. Once 4 is done, again go back to 1, like that. This is spiral model. Then say V model. So here is saying like a major drawback of waterfall model is, so we move to the next stage only when previous one is finished, right? So there is no chance to go back if something is found wrong in later stages, right? So that is the drawback. So the V model provides means of testing software at each stage in reverse manner, right? So this is a model that will have some fixes for waterfall model. So V model. So here it will be like this, right? Each stage there is some kind of a testing phase, so that you'll have like less errors after each stage, right? So it fixes the problems in the waterfall model and adds additional testing phases for each stage, right? So in the requirements analysis, there is acceptance testing, like design stage, system testing, architecture, integration, right? Module, unit testing, and all that. So this is a V model. So it implements testing at different levels, right? And this is another model which is not very popular, like it's a Big Bang model. Basically, this model is no longer used in the software anyway. Like it's conceptualized around Big Bang of universe. Like they start, so let me show the picture. They're going to allocate everything, time, effort, and resources. They're going to give a lot of funds, a lot of time and resources, and they start developing this model. And then they create the software and release it. But this requires a lot of time and effort and money, right? It's not a very popular model. It's only used very rarely and all, right? So nowadays we are going into like Agile model. So this is basically this is a continuous iteration model. This is a combination of iterative models and waterfall model. So it's a continuous iteration. Like it is like there will be small phases in the software development life cycle. So in Agile model, both development and testing activities are concurrent, right? So they go run in parallel. So it's something like a V model. So it runs testing and development runs in parallel. So something like a V model, but it's a smaller cycles, right? Small phases and all. Like that is Agile model. So this is how it will be there. Like so every time they take some requirements, they do design development, right? Quality assurance and deployment. Then again take some other requirements, like that small cycles it will run. So that is Agile model. I think most of the softwares now they are using this model for quicker development and all that. Yes, when the bigger system is there, they're going to break down into small phases and all that, and then do all this repetitively, right? This is the Agile model, and this is actually a comparison, but this is you cannot read this. I will share this PPT, then you can read this differences between Agile model and Waterfall model. Then if any questions, we can discuss in the tomorrow's session about this model. So this is all like different software development life cycle, and
Sir, all PPT we can get?
yeah, it will be there in that. So the link I shared,
Recording.
right? Yeah, you can
Okay, okay.
PPT there. Below the video, you can see a PPT. You can download and view that PPT.
Okay, sir.
So that's all for today's session. And tomorrow we're going to look at these various software testing methods, right? All these white box, black box, and all. So now we're going to jump into more into testing related topics from tomorrow. So these are all like, so we just talked about architecture and development models for today.
Yes, sir.
So any questions so far? Anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
can you tell who will involve in SDLC phases, sir?
Yeah, SDLC is basically I think this, right? So this is the different steps, right? So these requirements.
Sir, unable to see your screen, sir.
Okay. Right. Yeah, so you can see, right? Okay, so the requirements and all is basically business analyst, architect, system architect, and project manager and all. And the first 2-3 phases. So system analysis and system design, basically system architect, developers, right? Front-end developers, back-end developers.
Feasibility study, sir.
What is that? Feasibility study is basically architect and project managers.
Okay.
So they decide what is feasible and all that. Then analysis and design is basically the architect and front-end developers and back-end developers. They will be involved in that part. The coding is all developers. Even so, sometimes in the requirement gathering, there will be testing manager also will be there involved in it. And the testing will be testing team. Testing and integration will be testing team, and integration there will be users as well. So mostly testing people will be interacting with the developers. Also, they will be interacting with the actual users. we are going to use the system and all. Right, so you'll be communicating with the development team, users team, sometimes with business development team, business analyst. So if you have some questions on the requirements and things like that, you need to talk to business analyst because they will have up-to-date information on the requirements, right?
Okay.
And operations is mainly production team, like infrastructure team, support team, and all that. Those guys.
Okay.
So testing is we'll be talking to different people. We'll be talking to developers. We'll be talking to users. We'll be talking to business analysts and all that. So it's very important.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay. So I will share this video like in that course. You can watch that today or tomorrow. Okay. Okay. If there is no questions, then we'll close the call. Okay. Thank you. Right. Talk to you later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.